Hey YouTube, welcome back to Super Lorcana World. It's your one-stop shop for everything Lorcana, and today I want to have a formal discussion video on this card, A Whole New World. I want to discuss today, officially, whether this card should be put on a banned and limited list or not. I see this question asked every week. Yeah, this card, people either love it or they hate it, and people that love it because they're abusing it. So I understand. We're going to talk about today the pros and the cons and ultimately what I think about it. But it's not all about me, it's also about you guys. What do you think? Let me know in the comments before I get my analysis here as to whether or not you think this card is good for the game or not for the game and should be put on some kind of list. And of course, please like and subscribe. This card is a steel 5-cost action song, uninkable, but the 5-cost song you can exert a 5-cost character to play for free. Each player discards their hand, draws 7 cards. So this card, just on paper, reads really good. You draw 7 cards. It's very, set 1, for instance, was a very good time for this card in the sense that by turn 5, you could play your whole hand on the board, basically, and then activate a whole new world and just draw 7 cards and just refresh your hand, just like that, where it didn't really punish you for conserving resources. It just said, yeah, I can do whatever I want, but it's okay because I'll draw 7 new cards. And you've seen that all the way until today anyway. It's still a thing today. So in itself, that is really powerful. But what about cards that can maybe manipulated a little bit? Like in set 1, for instance, there was a deck that revolved around recycling a whole new world and decking out your opponent because you're playing it multiple times. Cards like Lady Tremaine, Do It Again, for instance, could add an action card from discard to your hand. So you can play them, add back a whole new world, and just do it again, and do it again, and do it again. And just deck out your opponent. You could do that. And you'd play like a 70 card deck or something to make sure that you couldn't deck out, which is pretty cool. Now, set 2 was more of the same, basically. But we did get Green Relentless Beast, who is a beast in itself. But has an effect whenever an opposing character is damaged, you may ready this character. So there in set 2, it really wasn't a fully fleshed out combo, but you could use Beast to attack something or whatever, or damage it somehow, restand it, and you could sing a whole new world, and then maybe find another way to damage it, and sing another whole new world or whatever. It wasn't really fleshed out until set 3, where we got Sheriff of Nottingham. This card was the third and final piece of the pie, so to speak. Whenever you discard a card, you may deal 1 damage to a chosen opposing character. So what's the combo here? You have both these dudes on the board. You sing a whole new world with the beast. You discard your hand, at least 1 card. You draw 7 cards. The Sheriff of Nottingham, because you discard a card, deals a damage to a chosen character. So you deal a damage to beast, which causes it to ready. And then you could theoretically just do it again. You could do it infinitely as long as you could, recycle the cards and heal your beast. You can do that. You can definitely do this a lot of times. And I built this deck in set 3. It works. It's a combo. It's not the most consistent combo in the world, but it is really strong when it gets off, and you're basically winning as soon as you do. So that's pretty nice. But what if I told you that this combo was outclassed because there was an even simpler combo that you could do at least 1 turn to 2 turns earlier? This is with Jafar, the Striking Illusionist. During your turn, while this card is exerted, whenever you draw a card, gain a lore. So if you draw 7 cards with a whole new world, you gain 7 lore. Now, you might say, well, this is a 7-cost character. How are you going to do that turn 5? Well, you can shift turn 5. You can play a weaker Amethyst Jafar anywhere from turn 1 to 4, and then turn 5, shift Jafar, exert it to, I don't know, gain a lore, and then, or sing a song, sorry, my bad. Exert to sing a song, and then whenever you draw a card, gain a lore. So you exert it for the song, you discard your hand, draw 7 cards, you gain 7 lore. That's a legitimate top-tier threat in this format. I don't care what anyone says. This is one of the best decks in the format, only because these cards exist. And all you need is a Jafar, and then this Jafar, and then a whole new world. Which is not hard to do, especially in Amethyst, when Amethyst has lots of draw power, like Pot of Greed, that lets you draw 2 cards from your deck. It's really powerful. So, what's the problem here? The chicken or the egg, right? Do we hit the cards that abuse the cards, or do we hit the card that enables abuse in the first place? Do we hit Jafar, or do we hit a whole new world? Because it's just a bit too much. Well, seemingly this question has been answered in other card games. For example, we'll use Magic the Gathering. We're going to use a card called Wheel of Fortune, a red sorcery. All players must discard their hand and draw 7 new cards. If you look at Sets and Legality here, it's a really old card, but it's actually banned in Legacy. And restricted in Vintage, legal in Commander, but you can only play 1 copy of it in Commander anyway. But yeah, it's limited to 1 copy per deck in Vintage, and Legacy it's banned. Why? Because there are ways to completely abuse this card. It's busted. Deck out stuff and all sorts of nonsense. I'm not the greatest expert on Legacy Magic, but I do know this card was banned because you could just deck out your opponent, draw cards, do stupid shit. It's really good. Don't need to be a Magic scholar and all that. You know what I mean? But it was actually banned in Magic. And there's been other cards in similar games that have sort of been nerfed or dealt with. For example, Pokemon TCG. I'm just going to bring this up right now. Professor Oak. Back in base set, we got this card. This card read, discard your hand and draw 7 cards. And back in the day, I have old school Pokemon decks from base set to fossil. You play 4 of this, and it's just basically constant hand refresh. The problem with this card, though, is you have it was not limited to once per turn. You could just do this all over, and you can add back to your hand, and you could do some things like deck out your opponent if they were going extra aggressive on the draw, or just lets you get so many resources, right? You discard your hand, draw 7 cards, use the cards in your hand, play another one, and keep going. That's such a huge momentum swing because your opponent can't interact with it because it's Pokemon. And this was eventually nerfed in the form of supporter cards. Professor Juniper. This is not what I wanted. Professor... Oh my god. This is what you get for being unprepared. This is what you get. You look like a poopy face. There we go. This is, I think, what I want to see. Yeah. They made these cards called supporter cards. Supporters, you can only activate 1 supporter per turn. And this one reads discard and draw 7 cards. But you can only do that once per turn. It's not like Professor Oak or Wheel of Fortune or A Whole New World where you can just activate it to your heart's content and just completely abuse resources that way. So, in conclusion, former card games have dealt with this in the past, and their answer was either ban or limit the card or just completely errata it and change game mechanics to introduce supporters so you can only do it once per turn. If you could do this card only once per turn, I would have no issue with it. Because you cannot and you can just abuse it, not to mention just win the game on turn 5 by playing an aggro deck with Amethyst Steel and this combo in it, you can win turn 5. Yeah, you can. I think this card's got to go. I don't think it needs to be banned. I think you can limit it at 1 copy, and it's fine. Now, limiting it at 1 copy, if you're going to be looping it with cards like this, it doesn't really help it, but it helps in the sense that the card, you'll have to draw it. You'll have to get it, which could be anywhere in your deck. And if you draw it, if you high roll and you get it, that's fine. We've seen Yu-Gi-Oh cards and Magic cards and Pokemon cards where there's 1 copy, and if you draw it, yeah, it can be unfair, like Max C and Yu-Gi-Oh or whatever, it's understandable. It's fine. I don't think if they wanted to ban the card too, Ravensburger, I think that's fine. I have no issue with it, but I think limiting it is fine. It still allows you to have the card. It gives you a one-time resource refresher, which is fine. I don't think that's a bad thing. But being able to spam it over and over and over by drawing multiple copies, that's a little bit too far for me. And now we have cards in every set that keep abusing it. So it's only a matter of time before something even bigger than Jafar comes Whole New World benefits it and the game ends even sooner than turn 5. That's kind of a big deal. So yeah, that'll do for today, guys, in today's video. That's my opinion on Whole New World and whether or not it should be banned or not. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you later. Bye!